Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for Quick Tip Tuesdays. My name is Pam Anson. I am the Community Outreach Coordinator at the Better Business Bureau. And since this week is National Consumer Protection Week, we are going to talk about the top scams of 2017 that are located in BBB's 5-county service area, and this is based on our BBB Scam Tracker results. So the top 5 scam of last year was actually phony debt collectors. Debt collection scams are one of the most frightening and persistent scam types because scammers may harass you for weeks and even months. And this can happen both at home, at work, maybe on your cell phone, and they're going to try to get you to pay a debt that you don't even owe. Scammers will also already know personal information about you and your family members, and it's been known that they sometimes threaten your family members or relatives into paying up or paying for the debt. The scammer calls and tells you that they work for a loan company, a law firm, or a government agency, and they claim to be collecting an overdue payment. And when you reply that you don't owe a debt, this so-called debt collector starts to make threats of suing you, having your wages garnished, arresting you, or forcing you to appear in court that is far from your home. And despite the threats, these debt collectors don't really have any legal power. In most cases, the alleged overdue loan doesn't even exist. So you want to make sure that you don't give in and pay money for something that you don't owe. Because if you do, the scammer is most likely just going to keep coming back for more. So let's talk about spotting this scam. If you get a phone call like this, make sure that you are asking for the debt collector to provide an official validation notice of the debt. In the U.S. and most of even Canada, debt collectors are required by law to provide this information in writing. The notice must include the amount of the debt, the name of the collector, and along with a statement of your rights. And if the self-proclaimed collector won't give you this information, just hang up the phone. And never be afraid to ask for more information. If you do owe money and you aren't sure if the caller is real, ask for more information. Ask for their name, company, street address, telephone number, and make sure that you do not provide your bank account, credit card, or other personal identifiable information over the phone. If a collector is legitimate, they should have details on the account in question. The 4th most popular scam in our area last year was the Sweepstakes Scam. This con fools you into thinking that you've won a lottery prize or a big jackpot, but you need to pay upfront fees to receive it. And no matter how much you shell out, the winnings never materialize. You can receive an email or a phone allegedly from a contest organizer informing you that you've won a prize. And to claim your winnings, you need to pay taxes, shipping costs, or other fees, and you're urged to send money by wire transfer or prepaid debit card and share the number and the PIN with the contestant organizer. In another version, you may receive a letter confirming that you've won a jackpot, often from a foreign lottery, which it is illegal in the U.S. to enter foreign lotteries by phone or mail, just so you know. But this letter includes a seal or other insignia to make it look like it's authentic. So I'm sure many of you have heard of Publishers Clearinghouse, which is a legitimate organization, but they will put the logo of Publishers Clearinghouse on this letter or the check to make it seem like it is legitimate. You are then instructed to deposit the check into your bank and wire or use a prepaid debit card to send, the taxes to a third party. And if the check is fake, which it is, then once you deposit that check, it could take weeks for the bank to determine that that check is fraudulent. So now you're out the money for that you send them, as well as any fees that you have to pay for cashing a fraudulent check. So some tips to spot this scam is don't pay upfront fees to claim a prize. No legitimate sweepstakes is ever going to ask you to pay a fee or buy something to enter or improve your chances of winning. That includes paying taxes, shipping and handling, or processing fees to get a prize. Be aware that the check can bounce even after your bank account allows you to withdraw cash from the deposit. Even if a bank representative tells you that the check has cleared, you can't be sure it won't be detected as a fake weeks later. And you've got to play to win. Don't pay for a prize in a contest that you didn't enter. The third most popular scam last year was government grant scams. And with this scam, scammers will contact you through phone, emails, or post on social media, which we've been seeing a lot more posts on social media. No matter the medium, the message is similar. The government is awarding free grants, and you are told that your application is guaranteed to be accepted, and you will never have to repay the money. You can use the grant to pay bills, make repairs, or even pay for educational costs. When you reply to the ad or take the bait on the phone, the scammer claims to be a government agent, and the con artist congratulates you on being eligible for the grant and asks for a one-time processing fee. Other fees will inevitably follow, and they may all seem very official. But whatever the story, one thing is certain, you will never see the money. And how to spot this scam is you do not want to pay any money for a free government grant. If you have to pay money to claim a free government grant, it's not really free. A real government agency will not ask you to pay any advanced processing fees. And you can look for a list of official government grants at a website called www.grants.gov. You also want to check for lookalikes. A caller may say that he or she is from the Federal Grants Administration, which does not exist. But be sure you do your research to see if an agency or organization actually exists. And you can find contact information on your own and call them to be sure that the person you've heard from is actually legitimate. And you want to also be careful with unsolicited calls asking for your banking information. Scammers will cold call asking basic questions to see if you qualify for a grant, and then ask you for your banking information, saying that they need to collect a one-time processing fee and directly deposit your money. Now, the second most popular scam last year was phishing. And phishing scams can come in the form of prize offers, threatened punishments, or something completely mundane like a file from the office scanner. So you want to beware, especially in your office setting, of any unsolicited or unexpected communications asking for personal information. And phishing is one of the biggest problems with scams for businesses, because once one of these phishing emails gets into your system, it can work its way around. So you really want to train your staff to be careful with these kind of phishing scams. So you want to always be wary of unexpected emails, calls, or we've seen a lot more text messages now that ask for personal information. Many of these communications are from imposters, masquerading as trustworthy businesses and organizations. They are phishing for your social security number or social insurance number, passwords, credit card information, all sorts of personal details to use in identity theft. So you want to make sure that you are not taking the bait. And to spot this scam, if something sounds suspicious, confirm it by calling the company or checking the company's website. Type the URL directly into your browser and do a web search. Do not click on any links whatsoever in that email. Same with calling. If you need to call a company, make sure that you are calling the number. Do a Google search, do an online search to see what numbers come up. And be cautious of generic emails. Scammers try to cast a wide net by including little or no specific information in the fake emails. So always be wary of messages that don't contain your last name or last digits of the account number or other, funky information. The number one scam last year in the Cleveland and surrounding areas was the tax collection scam. And tax collection scams are among the most persistent cons out there. And with tax season in full force, you're going to want to make sure that you keep this one on your mind. Now, they reappear frequently, each time with a slightly different spin. The main theme is scammers posing as the Internal Revenue Service, representing and attempting to coerce you into paying up or sharing your personal information. These scams are most often over the phone by a so-called, as we said, IRS agent, and they say you owe back taxes and pressure you into paying by prepaid debit cards or wire transfers. If you don't comply, the scammer threatens you with arrest and fines. And these imposters often go to great lengths to appear credible. They may provide a fake badge number, name. Your caller ID will often indicate that they're calling from Washington, D.C., which is something called spoofing. And they manipulate the phone number in your caller ID to make it look like it's coming from Washington, D.C. or your area to trick you into answering. Now, in many instances, these scams are initiated with a very serious and official-sounding robocall recording. Now, you can spot this scheme in several ways, so make sure you're not pressured to act immediately. Scammers typically try to push into action before you have a chance to think. Scammers really try to feed on our emotions. So the IRS will give you a chance to ask questions or appeal what you owe, and the first contact with you will always be in mail. It will not be over the phone first. And payments must be made by wire transfer, prepaid debit card, gift cards, or other non-traditional payments. We've seen a huge jump that these scammers are asking for iTunes gift cards as payment, and always the traditional, wire transfer or a Walmart to Walmart transfer. Now, these methods are largely untraceable and non-reversible, and the IRS will never demand payment in these forms. Now, there are several resources you can go to. We always ask, we want to know what's going on, so please feel free to visit us at bbb.org. And at the bottom, you'll see our BBB Scam Tracker, which I will show you an example of in a minute. But you can report scams to us at bbb.org, and we have other news stories and tips to help you. You can report scams to the Federal Trade Commission, and if you would like, you can register your phone for the Do Not Call list, and you can do that at donotcall.gov. And as I mentioned before, you can visit grants.gov to look at a list of legitimate grants, though they are very hard to come by, legitimate grants, but you can check out the list there. If you have any questions about your taxes, you can visit the irs.gov. You can also make payments through that page. And we always suggest checking your credit report if you think you have been a target for scams or if there's been anything unusual going on. And you can visit annualcreditreport.com to take a look at your credit report and see what's going on. Now, as I said before, if you are a target for scams, or if you have a scam to report, you don't just have to be a victim of scam. We will expect scam trackers if you are targeted by a scam as well, but we want to hear about it. When you share your stories, we can really gather information to let others know what scams are trending in the community so we can warn others. Here is an example of our scam tracker site. You can search for scams and see what is going on in the area. To the right of the screen, you will see a scam tracker that was submitted about a tech support scam. Scam tracker posts have a scam description, and as you can see in this post, a pop-up came up on this person's computer stating that there was a virus on the computer. The victim called the number and was told to pay $299 to actually fix the problem, and luckily this customer was unable to have the bank reverse the charges and close the bank account. Now, let's do a quick overview. And this is great information to kind of share with your staff as well. So no matter who you are, you can become a target for these scammers. And whether you're familiar with these scammers or not, it's important to always just review and go over this information, as I said, so we can pass it on to help prevent scams with others. Now remember, these to help prevent getting scams. So don't send money, gift cards, prepaid debit cards, or give out personal information to anyone you don't know. Don't deposit a check and wire money back. If a check you deposit turns out to be fake, you are responsible for repaying the bank. Hang up on robocalls. Don't press 1 to speak to a person or to be taken off the list. That could just lead to even more and more calls. That's what happens with these robocalls. Once they pick up, they show that your line is active and they will keep calling you. And don't rely solely on caller ID. Scammers will often spoof the number to make it look like it's coming from a local number or a government agency. And do your research. Visit us on bbb.org. Do a search online and search for the company name and see what comes up. Are there any questions that anyone has? You can type those in at the box now, on the questions box. And if there's no questions, you can always feel free to contact me by email, which is pam@cleveland.bbb.org, or feel free to give me a ring. We also go out to a lot of organizations and do talks like this about scams targeting your businesses, and we are always happy to go and do presentations if you'd like to, train your employees or learn more. But I want to thank you so much for coming today, and I hope to see you at a Quick Tip Tuesdays in the future. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.